Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up. I'm Jim Price, and on this episode of Action Awareness, I want to talk about Body Shop of the Mad Scientists. I often think about what action can add the most power in a single play, and Body Shop is a candidate. If there were a Hall of Fame for power-based actions, Body Shop would be in it. The card states, destroy one of your minions. Place a number of +1 counters equal to that minion's power, split any way you choose, among your minions. To new players, this may seem like a power transference, not gain. A minion is chopped up into power counters to be distributed, and the total power doesn't change, but the distribution and location does. And if this were the whole story, the card would still have value. I talked about how the Elder Thing requires a sacrifice and may not be worth it for that gain of power, but at least Body Shop doesn't have the 2 minion restriction. However, that's not how this card is supposed to be used. As many of you already know, there is a subtlety with this card and others that for some reason I have a very difficult time explaining to new players. Seriously, it always takes several minutes for some reason. This card, like Sprout and Back to the Future, is the lucky beneficiary of a strategic period. Destroy one of your minions, period. What this does is prevent the spreading of the power from being contingent on the destruction, unlike Heavy Drinker, which says destroy a minion to place a +1 counter. As a result, indestructible minions can be targeted and you get all the power, effectively doubling any indestructible minion. And if you still weren't convinced that this was the intent, consider that the Mad Scientists have 2 copies of Uber Serum that make your minion indestructible while slowly increasing its power. This is one of my favorite plays, allowing a minion to gradually increase its power until you are ready to play Body Shop and let it explode. Perhaps the most famous example is the Uber Serum's first mate. I've Body Shopped that minion into power levels in the mid-20s, allowing him to bounce from base to base and score nearly infinite points. But this is the very type of combo that is likely to be banned or hate drafted against, so while it makes for a great teaching combo, I'm not convinced you'll get to play it often. The fact that you can double your power is great, but it hides one of the nicer aspects of Body Shop, and it's the clause, split any way you choose. You get to decide just how much power goes to each minion, and this is not a trivial ability. When you give a lot of power to a minion, it's great. It can help you overtake a player on a base. But it can also be overkill. If you only need 1 or 2 power and have 5 to work with, that extra 3 power is wasted on the already breaking base. But Body Shop doesn't have this problem. You get to allocate the precise amount of power and distribute the rest, saving it for later. And I've actually done this in a lot of non-first mate situations. Obviously, with the first mate, you get to keep the minion, so giving it all the power is great. But there are other benefits as well. You can spread the power among several minions, powering them up each individually to ensure that they are outside the range of certain specials, like the base is not enough or blitzing sword attack. You could also ensure that none of your minions individually have the most power, thus making it an Old Man Jenkins target. There is great flexibility in being able to decide the distribution, and I think that's an aspect of Body Shop that often goes unnoticed. As a result, there are a lot of great Body Shop targets that play off the indestructible mechanic, but also make use of spreading out the power. Dragon Warrior works on both fronts of the card, as it's an indestructible minion immediately, requiring 1 less card to pull off the combo. The Dragon Warrior can also pull power counters to make himself stronger right before Body Shop is played, preferably stealing them from your opponent. Body Shop can even give the power counters right back to the minion you took them from. Like the Elder Thing, Body Shop benefits from having minions temporarily under your control, as they make great targets for the action. While this does cap the output to be either power 3 or power 5, the 2 power levels that the kittens can control, it does make for a faster, less predictable play, and the element of surprise definitely has value. With the creation of Death on 6 Legs, some combinations now exist that were previously not possible. The extra action allows Body Shop to be combined with one of two very powerful actions that play perfectly into Body Shop. Again, you are relying on Uber Serum to keep the minion alive, but using a kind of magic to transfer all power counters to one minion and allow you to double all the counters on the field. Body Shop allows you to distribute them accordingly, creating the power on the base where you need. Alternatively, We Will Rock You can be played after Body Shop, using Body Shop's distribution to see what minions you really want to accentuate. The fact that Body Shop can be split any way you choose really helps create the multi-base strategy that the giant ants need. You could also take the A Kind of Magic approach and set up an Under Pressure or We Are the Champions combo, with Body Shop creating a ton of counters you can move around. But perhaps my favorite combo with Body Shop, because of its elegance, is a minion I generally dislike, the Polar Commando. The Polar Commando doesn't really work without non-minion power because it gets weaker the more you compete on the base, and the Bear Cavalry have no cards that make this useful. But, as the only minion, it's indestructible and 6 power, which makes for an easy 1-turn 12 power drop that is easy enough to steal quite a few bases. Again, the ability to selectively move excess power really helps here, as it's a single turn move where, specials aside, you can math out exactly how much power you need. I suppose there are reasons to use Body Shop on a vulnerable minion, but it's easy enough to achieve a big play, which makes me hesitant to endorse them. I love how quickly this card can create a surge of power, and with 2 copies of Uber Serum, you can make it happen. This does make for a great dueling card as the challenger, as you can sacrifice another minion to ensure that your dueling minion survives, or sacrifice the minion to nullify the duel and keep the power, especially since most duels destroy the losing minion anyway. But, if you can keep the minion alive, why bother with the duel at all? Use your deputies to bump up an indestructible minion by 2 power per deputy, then Body Shop for even more power. I love this card, and it's easy to see why. For minions that cannot be destroyed, you can double their power. It's like playing Rampage, but getting the power, not just the reduced breakpoint. It also has the flexibility to distribute the power in exactly the ratios you desire. I'll happily wait for an indestructible minion to achieve maximum effect, and it's important to combine the Mad Scientist with a card draw faction to ensure that you get access to these cards. I've actually seen the combo fire successfully during a tournament, so be sure not to overlook Mad Scientists in a draft, because for some reason, someone always does. What do you think of Body Shop? Let me know in the comments. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let's shut it down.